She thought she had found true love, but little did she know, her wedding was never about love, it was a political strategy. Lux married a powerful man who promised her the world, but behind his sweet words hid the darkest kind of betrayal. This is the heartbreaking story of a woman who was used to win an election, but ended up winning back her freedom in a way no one expected. From the outside, Lux's life looked perfect. She was young, beautiful, and full of dreams. Everyone in her community admired her grace and kindness. When she met Chief Duro, one of the most powerful politicians in the country, people said she was the luckiest woman alive. The newspapers called her the woman who melted the heart of a lion. Cameras followed her wherever she went, and her smile was seen as a symbol of hope. But deep inside, Lux felt something wasn't right. The love that looked so beautiful from the outside began to feel like a cage made of gold. When Chief Duro proposed to Lux, it was in front of hundreds of people, under flashing lights and loud cheers. He spoke sweetly about love and promised her a life filled with comfort and respect. Lux's parents were proud, they thought their daughter's future was finally secure. But what no one knew was that behind his charming words, Duro had a plan. He wasn't marrying Lux for love. He was marrying her because she came from a poor but deeply respected family, a family whose support could help him win the coming election. Lux noticed small signs of change soon after the wedding. Duro rarely spent time with her. His was always in meetings, surrounded by men who whispered about votes, money, and power. During campaign rallies, Lux was asked to stand beside him, wave, and smile. Her face was on posters, and her gentle voice was used in speeches to make Duro seem like a kind and caring man. "You are my lucky charm," he would say with a smile, but to Lux, those words felt heavy, like chains she could not break. As months passed, Lux's name became known everywhere. Women adored her elegance, men respected her humility, and the people saw her as a symbol of goodness. But the more popular she became, the lonelier she felt. Behind the scenes, Duro had grown colder. He controlled her every move, what she wore, what she said, and even who she spoke to. "Remember," he warned one night, his voice low and sharp, "you represent me now. Don't forget why you're here."
You must understand the gravity of this situation.
I understand, but this is too much to bear.
Lux stared at him in silence, realizing that her marriage was never about love. It was a game, and she was just a piece on his political board. The day of the election came, and Lux was everywhere. She smiled for the cameras, held babies in her arms, and visited markets with her husband. People cheered her name more than they cheered Duro's. Her kindness made everyone believe that Duro must also have a good heart. But when the results came in and he won by a huge margin, Lux noticed something change in his eyes. There was no joy, no gratitude, only pride and power. That night, at the celebration, while everyone danced and sang his praises, Lux sat quietly in a corner, realizing that her face had helped him win, but her heart had lost everything. After the victory, things got worse. Duro became cruel and distant. He started coming home late, smelling of perfume and alcohol. The man who once called her my queen now shouted at her or the smallest things. "You have served your purpose, Lux," he said one night, slamming the door behind him. "Now, stay quiet and don't embarrass me." His words cut through her like a blade. Lux sat on the floor, tears falling silently as she finally understood she was never his wife. She was his tool. Weeks turned into months, and Lux's health began to break. She stopped attending public events, stopped smiling for the cameras. The media started asking questions: where is the First Lady? Why hasn't she appeared beside her husband? To protect his image, Duro forced her to make a public appearance. Lux stood on stage, wearing a bright dress and makeup that hid her pain. The crowd clapped and cheered, but when she looked at them, her eyes were empty. She realized she had become a stranger to herself, a living puppet in someone else's show. One night, Lux sat alone in her room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The woman she saw didn't look like her anymore, her eyes were dull, her smile was gone. She thought about the girl she once was, the one who dreamed of love, peace, and a simple happy life. Her mother's words echoed in her heart, "Never forget who you are, no matter how dark the world becomes." That night, Lux made a decision. If her husband used her voice to win an election, she would now use that same voice to reclaim her dignity. The next morning, Lux did something no one expected. She walked out of the mansion and went straight to a nearby orphanage she had secretly supported before the marriage. Reporters followed her, curious and confused. Standing in front of the children, she spoke with a steady voice, "These children are the real future of our country. They don't need empty promises. They need love and truth." Her words spread everywhere. People began to see her not as the politician's wife, but as a woman of strength, someone who stood for what was right, even when the world was against her. When Duro saw her speech on the news, he was furious. He stormed into the house that night, yelling, "Do you want to destroy me?" But Lux didn't cry this time. She looked him straight in the eyes and said softly, "You destroyed yourself the day you forgot how to love." For the first time, Duro had no words. He turned away, and that silence told her everything. She had finally won, not by power, not by revenge, but by courage. That night, Lux packed her few belongings and walked out of the mansion. The cameras that once made her feel trapped now followed her as she stepped into freedom. Life after leaving Duro wasn't easy. Lux had no money, no status, and no protection. Many people who once praised her now turned away, afraid of losing favor with the powerful politician. But Lux didn't stop. She started small, teaching young girls in her village how to read and speak confidently. Every time she saw their eyes light up with hope, she felt a small piece of her broken heart heal. Her name slowly began to shine again, not as a politician's wife, but as a woman who refused to stay silent in the face of injustice. Years passed, and Duro's power began to fade. Scandals followed him, his promises were broken, and the people who once worshipped him now turned against him. Meanwhile, Lux had become a voice for women who suffered in silence. She spoke at schools, on radio shows, and in churches, telling her story with grace and courage. "Don't let anyone use your kindness for their gain," she often said. "Power built on lies never lasts, but truth will always find its way." Her words touched hearts across the country. One sunny afternoon, Lux stood before a large crowd of women gathered to celebrate her foundation's 5th anniversary. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at how far she had come. "I once believed I was born to serve someone else's dream," she said softly, her voice trembling. "But now, I know, I was born to build my own." The crowd erupted in applause. At that moment, Lux finally felt free. She had been used, broken, and forgotten, but she rose again, stronger than ever. And though her story began with betrayal, it ended with victory, not of wealth or power, but of the human spirit. So, my dear listeners, what lesson did you take from Lux's story? Life may place us in situations where others try to use our hearts for their gain, but remember, true strength is not found in power or money. It's found in standing for what's right, even when you stand alone. Lux's journey reminds us that love built on lies will crumble, but courage built on truth will always rise. Tell me in the comments, what part of her story touched your heart the most? And if you enjoyed today's tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to African Tales by Reby for more emotional and powerful stories like this one. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never stop believing in your worth.